That's not your cheese. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not your cheese. And today we're talking about creativity by ways and means of cheese. And this will make sense in a second, I promise. Rather, we're talking about a show about cheese. So picture this with me. You know, it's August 2024, this past summer. I'm lined up outside of Banshee Labyrinth in Edinburgh at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's 2 a.m. at the Banshee Labyrinth outside. It's kind of cold still. Edinburgh in August, it's cold. It ain't warm. And I'm standing there kind of cold, huddled up with my friend Sean, and we're waiting to see a show about cheese. The Cheese Man. That's all everyone was talking about. The Cheese Man, the Cheese Man. Have you seen the Cheese Man? You're at Edinburgh. That's great. You've seen blah, blah, blah. But have you seen the Cheese Man? You got to see the Cheese Man. You got to go and see the Cheese Man. So we're lined up outside at Edinburgh, outside of the Banshee Labyrinth. That's actually where Richard Gadd, sorry Richard, I don't know your last name. I'd say Richard Gadd. He did his solo show before Baby Reindeer, which was a Netflix hit. It's my Netflix menu opening sound. Thank you to my brother Paul for letting me use his Netflix account, because I'll never pay for it. Anyways, so you know, there's I guess some history in that room. That's cool, but we're not there to see Richard Gadd. We're there to see the Cheese Man. And there's like a hum outside in Edinburgh, and everyone's like, oh, the cheese. Some people have seen it, so they're kind of talking, and I'm there with Sean, and I'm listening. We're overhearing it, and they're like, oh, you got it, you know. Have you seen it yet? No, it's crazy, man. What he does is crazy. It's crazy what the Cheese Man does. And eventually, you know, it becomes 2 a.m., and we go and we walk in, and we sit down. It's this theater, small theater, about 30 seats, and we sit down, and there's a man standing there who's doing the show, and his name is Mark Dean Quinn. That's the Cheese Man. And he's a clown, obviously. It's like Philippe Gauthier. I think Gauthier is probably his teacher or something from Paris or in France. You can go to like clown schools. But the whole premise of the show that started at 2 a.m. is, you know, the first hour of the show, we're sitting there, and he's trying to convince people to leave. He wants people to leave his own show, and he keeps trying to get people to leave, and he'll do it in funny, interesting ways, where if anyone new walks into the room, he'll start the show over from the very beginning. Or if someone says like, yes, he asks them a question, and it's like a yes or no question. If they say yes, he starts the show over. So everyone like is helping each other remember the rules in the crowd. And again, a lot of people are new. Some people have been there before. I remember when I was there, I saw two people sleeping, two drunk men sleeping at the front. And I still have clips from the show. I don't know if I should post it. I don't know if I have his authority to do it. So I'm just trying to paint a picture. And he's taken the whole first hour of the show trying to convince people to leave his own show, which I've never seen before, but it was funny. And it was interesting. And then the second hour of the show, he actually pulled a whole big pack of cheese out with cheese slices. And he put them on the table, and he goes, now it's time to find my cheese. And he starts eating the cheese slices one by one over an hour. And he goes, he'd take it, he'll eat it, and he goes, oh no, that's not my cheese. Where is it? And he keeps eating them. Oh no, that's not my cheese. Where is it? And everyone's getting into it, and they're all yelling, oh no, that's not my cheese. You know, the whole crowd is with him and on his side. And what's funny is like the crowd was actually inventing their own rules to his game also. and they were making their own little fun rules, and they were kind of playing with him. And some nights, apparently, since he ate cheese, Edinburgh is a month-long festival. And eating cheese for 30 days in a row, I don't know if you know this, is not healthy. So he would eat lettuce instead because he was getting very sick, and I think a doctor told him to stop, but he didn't want to stop, so he would eat lettuce instead. And I think at my show he was eating lettuce, but he also just said, "That's not my cheese." He didn't even acknowledge it was lettuce. And I think if anyone would leave the show, he would start the show over also in the first hour. So, and people were leaving because they're like, what the F is this? But then other people would come in. And again, this is a show that was very popular, you know, full line out the door, people wanting to get in. And I think it was a really interesting display of creativity. Now, I think English comedians were saying, oh yeah, but he runs like a Facebook admin group for the Edinburgh Fringe and that helped. It doesn't matter. I didn't know about a Facebook admin group. I knew about the show because people told me go see the show. And this is a guy who did not spend any money on marketing. You know, there's a lot of marketing. I don't want to call it pay to play at the Fringe Festival, but it kind of is now. No hate, it's just life, it's just capitalism, life in the big city. But it's funny, it was very creative, and all these other people are spending all this money on marketing and come see my show and all these posters and stuff. And for some reason, this is the show I like the most. And it's because there was a guy, and I've seen a lot of clown shows. I've done a lot of clowning myself. Shout out to Ed Malone, best clown teacher in New York. But it really made me think about creativity again, and it made me go, oh yeah, it made the trip to Edinburgh worth it, because I was only there a couple of days. But, you know, this was a guy being himself and just doing something very different and not really giving a F what anyone thought of him. And in fact, I've never seen someone try to get people to leave their show before. That whole performance, that whole act was great and very funny. So there's a quote by, you know, Steve Martin, you know, great comedian, actor, musician too. He actually plays the banjo, bluegrass. Be so good they can't ignore you. And he definitely could not be ignored, even though he was on the fringes of the Fringe, pun intended, I guess, for that year. He wasn't even in, I think he was in the free Fringe. He wasn't in the actual Fringe. But he had the best show I saw, and I think for a lot of people, they loved it. And everyone's like, who is this cheese man? It's swept through the whole Fringe. You know, and that's what it is you just gotta be so good they can't ignore you. But I think a big part of that is being yourself and not being afraid to be yourself. And if that means you need to tell people to leave your show before you eat cheese, then so be it. Go eat that cheese on stage. But be yourself. And I don't think this guy even got that many big accolades or anything from the Fringe. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter, because this is the only show I remembered from that whole run, was this dude called the Cheese Man eating cheese on stage, because it was so creative, it was so fun, people were so into it. So when you're being creative, don't be afraid to be yourself. Be as big of you as you can be. People see it and people love it. I promise you people will love it. If people love the Cheese Man, they're gonna love what you do. I don't know what it is. But again, look, this is real. This is not fake. Mark Dean Quinn, that's his name. And it's one of the best shows I've ever seen. And it taught me a lot about just creativity and being yourself. So if I can say anything, it's go be yourself when you're being creative. You know? That's where the cheese is.